Hello, everyone. I'm Santiago C. Carrata, President and CEO of Visit Tampa Bay, and welcome to another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. It's the first full month of fall and officially spooky season, my favorite season. Before we unearth the spine-tingling events of this month, let's rewind and recap all the epic adventures from last month. In September, we hosted signature client events for key media, trade professionals, and airline partners in Amsterdam, Copenhagen, and Munich. We announced our new partnership with Brentford Football Club. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicked off their 2023 season. We got to check out Mosey's Science of the Cuban Sandwich event, hosted a business crawl by the Bay as we made our way around Ybor City's historic 7th Avenue. We mingled at our National American Business Women's Day and National Quesadilla activation, and we got to enjoy Tampa Theater's September Sing-Along Sundays. Now that we're in October, we're looking forward to Brand USA Travel Week, our masquerade-themed annual meeting, the Friends of the Riverwalk trick-or-treat event, getting spooked at Busch Gardens at Tampa Bay's Howl-O-Scream, and Zoo Tampa's Creatures of the Night and Vault of Souls. We're going to indulge ourselves at the 12th Annual Oktoberfest at Curtis Hickson Park, and there's so much more. We're excited for what this fall season has brewing for Tampa Bay. Stay tuned because we're about to unlock a treasure trove of autumn adventures and secrets that'll leave you spellbound. Take it away, Serena.
Thank you so much, Santiago. And on this episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay, what a treat. We are diving into the eerie and enchanting world of Halloween right here in our vibrant city of Tampa. And who better than to open the door but Scott Swenson, the mastermind of the Vault of Souls.
I love that. Can I have that on business cards now? That's perfect.
Scott, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. We're so excited this year for the Vault of Souls, and it's a unique Halloween event, but it's certainly one that I'm incredibly proud of.
Well, tell us all about the Vault of Souls. What is it? Where is it?
So the Vault of Souls started several years ago when Carolyn Wilson from the Wilson Company, who owns the Vault and CW's Gin Joint and several other locations in the city of Tampa, she came to me and she said, would you be willing to do a Halloween event? She said, I've seen your work other places, and she said, I'd really love to have you be part of this event. So we put together some proposals, some ideas, and she said, I just don't want blood. And I said, okay, that's fine. How do you feel about ghosts? And she was like, oh, I love them. So we started to create a mythology surrounding the Vault, which is on the corner of Franklin and Twiggs. And the Vault is a refurbished bank building. And
it is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And it was built and opened in the 1920s. So we took that as kind of our kickoff as to here's where we're going to start creating characters. So we created this mythology, so to speak, that Mr. Griffin, who was the actual first bank president, developed a way to hold souls in abeyance after they passed if they were concerned that their afterlives might be a little dicey. And since it was the 1920s, Tampa was a dicey town. Right. It was pretty edgy back then. So that was how the mythology behind the Vault of Souls was created. It has evolved into what we call an evening of elegant fear. It is an opportunity for grown-ups to come and experience multiple acts of the immersive experience in multiple locations. It starts with a high-end cocktail party in the Vault, which is one of the most beautiful events pavilions in the city. Then it progresses into what we call the Ritual, which is a non-linear haunted experience in a 12,000 square foot basement underneath the building. So we go
my
from
heart is it keeps
well, just keep it pumping. That's the important thing. Just keep it pumping. Because eventually, most people do return to the world of the living after they've been down there. But each of them are given a task, and it's a unique task to them that they must accomplish by interacting with the characters, the spirits that live there, the scenery, the special effects. Then they come back up to the world of the living. And this year we'll have 2 different locations that they can spend the rest of their evening. One is a beautiful outdoor courtyard where we have variety artists. We have fire performers based on some of the flappers from the 1920s. And then up on the 3rd floor, we will have espresso and desserts, tarot readings, and some additional characters up there.
So it's a whole night.
It's a
and
whole
it's
evening.
it's something for everybody, really.
Absolutely. And, we like to say that it's a more mature way of celebrating Halloween. Nobody will jump out with a fake knife and squirt blood on you. That's not what we do. We create the possibility that there is a veil between this realm and the next, and we explore it in the most elegant way possible.
And tell me what you were sharing with me. One of your most favorite things that could happen is some of the guests go home, and what happens?
Well, everybody's like, Scott, what is your favorite way to scare people? And I like to get into people's heads. Now, I've done attractions that are family friendly. I've done attractions that are very bloody and gory. But with the Vault of Souls, I wanted to get in your head and make you actually believe, to suspend your disbelief, so to speak. And I love it when people go home and they walk in after a night out and they look at each other and go, did I leave that light on? So if we can get into people's heads and make them feel as though this world of ghosts and spirits is actually possible, then we've done our job.
Why is it that so many people are so fascinated with Halloween? I mean, I know it started, 2,000 years ago, they say, with the Celtics in Europe. But what is it about Halloween that you feel just brings people in?
Well, Halloween, that is a question that we could discuss probably for the next 2,000 years. But to sum it up, in my opinion, I think it's because it started as a way to connect with those who had passed. It was a way to, All Hallows Eve. It was a way to connect with our ancestry, with our history, and then as it's evolved, I think it's also a way that people can face their fears in a way that they know is safe. That's what I've always tried to do with Halloween, is to create the illusion of danger, to create the illusion of paranormal activity, to create the illusion of plain old fantasy. And I think people just like to have that adrenaline rush. And when you can do it in a Halloween event like the Vault of Souls, you can do it without any real fear.
Well, President and CEO Santiago C. Carrata always says that the spooky season is, one of his favorite ones. And when you were talking about being safe as well at the Vault of Souls, what is it about Tampa and the history? We have a lot of history here. Oh,
you have a lot of history here. And, even outside of the things that I do, which are creating the illusion of spirits and spookiness, the city of Tampa is filled with buildings that have a great deal of documented paranormal history. The vault is one of them, as is the Tampa Theater. It's a block away from the Tampa Theater. The Cuban Club. There's a lot of history and a lot of violent history in the city of Tampa, which, generally speaking, if you are a believer in the paranormal, generally speaking, will leave some echoes, will leave some spirits there to be discovered.
And truly, you are an expert in this field. I know you live here in Tampa for most of the year, but you grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
You said, and you have set up the Vault of Souls. I called you the mastermind of the Vault of Souls, but you have created these type of venues and events all over the country.
Actually,
in the world?
I can now say internationally. I did the very first year of a haunted attraction up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, called Dark, which takes place in an outdoor history museum. I've done family-friendly haunted attractions at the Indianapolis Zoo Tampa. I've done some work for the Florida Aquarium locally. And then this year, although it wasn't necessarily Halloween related, this year I spent the first 5 months of this year in Abu Dhabi opening a brand new SeaWorld park there, working on their entertainment with a huge team there.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you on a personal level, Scott.
Thank you.
So, this is Visit Tampa Bay, and we talk about, of course, entertaining our tourists, which we love our locals, but also bringing in all these international guests.
Sure.
How does the Vault of Souls, or even like our spooky season, how have you seen that attract so many guests, and we're growing?
Well, it continues to grow. And I think what happens is, I'm a firm believer in the simplest possible phrase, good work begets good work. So what ends up happening is, as the quality improves here in the Tampa Bay area, whether it is the Vault of Souls or some of the other events, as the quality continues to improve, more and more people find out about it. And, the residents, with the Vault of Souls, for example, the residents of the Tampa Bay area have become super fans and come back year after year after year. And each time they come back, they bring somebody new. And then they say, well, if you're going to be in town during October, let's bring you in. And then to kind of expand even further with the Vault of Souls, not only do they get a great seasonal event, but they also get a taste of what the Vault or CW's Gin Joint or Vault Catering can actually do the rest of the year. And they may say, we loved being there. Let's book our wedding there, or let's book our next corporate event there. And so it kind of creates a win-win scenario where you
It's like
get
a domino effect,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Once again, good work begets good work.
Yes, and talk about great things, though. October is such a beautiful month here. Yes. So when you were talking about the super fans, and I love that phraseology of the super fans that bring in their friends. So we're not only growing organically, it's great marketing.
Absolutely. Well, and I will say that the Vault of Souls has been recognized by the Haunted Attraction Network, which is a worldwide podcast network. They come out every year to actually experience it and talk about it. It's being talked about around the world, and I'll go to many conventions, and people will either remember me from my past life when I worked for Busch Gardens, or my current life, and the one that everybody seems to talk about is the Vault of Souls.
Why is going back to the Vault of Souls then, and mentioning that it's being talked about internationally? We talked a lot about what makes it so unique, but say someone is going in, and I know there's, a tier of events. What is your favorite part of the Vault of Souls?
Oh, I'm going to answer that question from a very selfish standpoint first, and then I will answer it from a guest standpoint. From a very selfish standpoint, it's talking to the people at the different stages throughout the course of the evening. Because when they first arrive at the arrival, it is a high-end cocktail party, very posh, just beautiful.
Do people come dressed up like in Halloween costumes?
People don't come in Halloween costumes quite often. We will have super fans who will show up in costumes of the 1920s. Because again, it's all based on the history of the city.
Well, you are the epitome of class today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Coming dressed like this would be highly appropriate, I would imagine.
Well, and if you come to the Vault of Souls, you will see me there dressed in a very similar manner. But I think one of the things that I like, and I love talking to people as they leave, because that's, those things that are sticking with them help me develop for the following year as well. But I think from a guest standpoint, my favorite part is the interactivity and the camaraderie that is often formed between strangers when they're trying to complete their tasks in the basement, in the ritual. So basically, each guest going down receives a card, and this year they're funeral cards. And on the back, there are 4 fill-in-the-blanks that they have to discover on their own by interacting with the characters or the scenery or the special effects, and that creates a phrase. And that phrase is needed to return to the world of the living. And each one in the group has a different phrase that they must discover. And I love the fact that people, when they're in the ritual, start to work together with people they don't know, and finding out, where did you find this? Where did you find that? Have you seen anything like this? And it becomes this really nice communal Halloween experience. And I know that seems like it's almost contradictory, but there's something about people who are in an uncomfortable situation coming together to work together and create, a better good for everybody. And then after they come back up to the world of the living, I find them having a cocktail together or having some coffee together in the dessert bar.
Well, Scott, I know you would encourage anybody to go to the Vault of Souls, but as an expert too in this field, do you have another favorite in Tampa that is a must see? Or must do?
I was part of the team that created Howl-O-Scream, and I haven't been involved for many years, but I'm still very partial to that event. I'm still very partial, if you have little ones, I'm still very, very partial to Zoo Tampa, and their Creatures of the Night event. Full disclosure, I am also the creative director for that event.
That's no surprise. I mean, you're so creative.
But the thing I love about it is I get to do everything from the family-friendly, we're going to try to startle the giggles out of you, which is what we say at the zoo, to creating an evening of elegant fear like the Vault of Souls.
And this is something which is so interesting. This, for you, I mean, Halloween as a kid wasn't at the very beginning your favorite. You were scared.
I was terrified. So I'm the kid that even in the small JC's haunted houses, or even those dark rides that they set up at carnivals, I was the one who was like scrunched between two people trying to hide my face. I know what it's like to be afraid. So therefore, I think it actually gave me a leg up on creating things that scare other people, because I know what it's like to be scared. And I figure, well, if I can tap into that from my childhood, maybe I can get someone else's heart racing as well.
And it was at 12 years old that you did your first haunted house,
Actually,
right?
I was a little younger than that. But it was some friends of mine wanted to do a haunted house in their basement, and I was sort of peer pressured into doing it. And the one most important lesson that I will remember to this very day is never ever use nail polish as blood on your face. Bad makeup choice.
It's hard to
It's
get
very
off.
hard to get off. Yes. And it was so funny because I didn't even have any remover as a kid. So I'm like picking it off, trying to not get in trouble. When I got home, I realized by picking it off, I had left a red mark exactly where the makeup was. So they knew exactly what had happened.
So that's a great tip.
Great tip.
Great tip
Yes.
to leave
And
us
that's
with.
the earliest one. That's the easiest one to remember. Don't use nail polish on your face.
Well, thank you, Scott. In closing out the conversation, where can you get tickets for the Vault of Souls?
If people want to become involved with the Vault of Soul experience, they can visit elegantfear.com, and it is a time-ticketed event. So you basically purchase tickets within a window, and you show up, you enjoy the cocktail party, and then the ticket time that you purchase actually is the time that you go into the ritual. But you can stay there the whole night long, and it is October 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, and doors open at 6 p.m.
So let me ask, for people like me who might be a little nervous, what words of advice would you have for someone wanting to try it?
I think the important thing to remember is this is designed to be storytelling and fun. So whether you enjoy having a high-end cocktail party with hand-passed hors d'oeuvres, or you want a dark, spooky scavenger hunt, or you want to sit out under the stars and watch a variety artist, or you want to have your tarot cards read and have some dessert on the third floor, there's something for everyone. But I always recommend push yourself just a little bit, because you might discover something brand new that you like.
Love it. You are such a master. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining us on Unlocking Tampa Bay. Continuing our conversation on the spooky season in Tampa, we are joined with Brad Tucker. Brad, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Okay, I love your title. You're an entertainment specialist
Yes.
with Busch Gardens. And really, I mean, Howl-O-Scream is
That's
a baby of
pretty
yours,
much
right?
my only job, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, talk about you. You say it's your only job.
Mm-hmm.
You never imagined you would be able to work like with your favorite holiday, right?
No, yeah, it had always been something growing up that I really enjoyed and wanted to get into, but I didn't know that it was like a job that somebody spends a whole bunch of time working on and developing these things like that. So,
well, I'm very excited to talk about Howl-O-Scream. We're celebrating the 24th year of the Halloween season at Busch Gardens.
yes.
But before we get into that, speaking of you, so you were 13 years old, right? About 13 years old.
Super young, yeah.
Super young. You still are young, but 13.
Yeah.
So what happened? Like you were working with your dad's construction business and you wanted to establish a haunted house?
So when I was young, I used to go to his office and I would borrow a bunch of equipment and stuff and build a little mini haunted house in our front yard. Because I like scaring all the kids that came over. So I did that for however many years I lived with them. And then went off to school and I did a haunted house there for a company in Savannah. So that kind of got me into like the professional haunt kind of.
Right.
So then I came home, opened a business that had nothing to do with Halloween anything. But I found my way into a nonprofit and convinced them that like this is a good thing to get into to make some extra money for the year. So
Isn't that something? So you convince a nonprofit to do a haunted house.
Yeah, for 2 years.
Wow. It just shows how many people are so entertained by Halloween.
It draws a lot of people in. Just in that short amount of time that these things are open, they can make the money to survive for a year to reopen again without having like a year-round business.
That is incredible. Well, just earlier in the show, we had Scott Swenson on here, and the two of you actually worked together.
We did.
At Busch Gardens. And now here you are running the very event.
Small world. He left and I kind of slid right into the...
Wow. So tell us about Howl-O-Scream. I think internationally, people hear Howl-O-Scream and they associate that with Busch Gardens Tampa.
Yeah, I think so the other parks do Howl-O-Scream also, but this one I feel like is kind of the premier Howl-O-Scream park, especially around this area. Obviously, Busch Gardens is its own park, but
why do you think it is the premier event?
There for years has been so much passion put into it, and like you said, Scott was one of the originators for that. And I know he has a lot of passion for that event, and you can tell like all these people care so much about it. So they put a lot of time and mental energy and stuff, just making sure all the details are super clear and it's going to be an awesome event. So it's really, the passion drives the event. And I think that's what makes it so popular and so big.
And, you know, as we were sharing, it's already started. I mean, it started in September, even before we even hit the month of October. So tell us about the specifics and the details of Howl-O-Scream.
Howl-O-Scream at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. We have 5 haunted houses and 6 scare zones. One brand new house, which is D.H. Bagham's Circus of Fear. And we have a new layover for our vampire house, which is the Forgotten Uprising. Yeah, it's
sorry. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So the first year of Forgotten was the vampires kind of got pushed back into the sewer. That's where they're living. Nobody knows they're there. This year, people know that they're there. So it's kind of the first stage of the battle. So next year we'll develop into full battle. So we kind of do new layovers onto different houses to kind of keep the energy up and keep them interesting to come back and see again.
That must be so exciting. And you must love watching the people that come in there.
I do. Yeah.
So tell us how that works. Like Howl-O-Scream is its own event, right? So
Yes.
so does the park shut down for Howl-O-Scream?
It does. We have our regular daytime hours and then we close to reopen for a separate ticketed event for Howl-O-Scream. And then we're open at nighttime and pretty much everything is open except for the animal exhibits and things like that. But you can still ride all the rides in the dark, which is really cool because you don't normally get to do that. And then you get all the HOS items at the same time. So shows, scare zones, houses.
It sounds so much fun. And I know there's been, I mean, countless people, you know, have gone through and as you said, return to Howl-O-Scream.
Yes.
So we are Visit Tampa Bay. So I know we get a lot of locals, of course, that go and want to be there. But how does an attraction like that, how does it help attract international guests and guests from all over the world?
I think Busch Gardens is pretty unique. It has so many different things to offer. So you can come back, you can come into town, do Busch Gardens during the day, experience everything that we have there. Because we have all the rides, the animals, shows. You can come back at night and do Howl-O-Scream. So you can experience a lot of the same things, plus all the haunted houses and the Halloween shows. And then you can come back again later and experience Christmas Town.
Yeah.
And you can bring your kids to do Spooktacular, which is a fun kid-friendly event during the day. So there's always something to come back to Busch Gardens too.
And you know what I just love too? I feel like people come into Tampa, they'll experience Busch Gardens, they'll experience all the events you have there, but it really helps Tampa as a whole. I mean, because everybody wants to see different parts of Tampa. So it helps not only the park, but it helps the restaurants, it helps the hotels. And are you from Tampa?
Close. I'm from Winter Haven, so only about an hour from here.
So what are your thoughts? Like, how have you seen this area grow?
So I've been coming over here for a long time because my sister actually lives in Tampa. So we'll come visit her, and it's grown a lot. Just the people and the restaurants and the just the offerings of the city have really made it a much better place to come visit. Not better place, but
yeah, but it's
like
so much more. I mean, there's just so much to do here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do here.
So speaking of things to do, it's so interesting to me that we're not even at Halloween yet, but you are already planning for next year.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
I can't.
It's under wraps. It's a secret.
Yeah, we're still in like the very early stages, but it is an anniversary year for us, so we're trying to plan a lot of really big things and bring in a lot of memories that people have from going to Howl-O-Scream for the past 25 years. So, yeah, there's a lot coming. It's all very closely
guarded. So,
yeah.
Brad, but doesn't that say a lot to show how important this season is? That people really, really are paying attention to Halloween-themed events.
Yes. Yeah, I think all over the world, people really focus on Halloween events and the different changes and stuff. I know we have a really good fan base that see all the details of everything we put into it. So it really makes you feel like people really appreciate what you do and the amount of time you spend on things. So I am also a fan of Halloween events.
Clearly.
Yeah. So I also look at the details and all those kinds of things. So I always try to do a lot of fan service just to make those people feel like we appreciate them coming back every year.
And probably if you enjoy it, you know that the fan's going to enjoy it.
Hopefully, yeah.
You know? What is it, do you think, about Halloween that is so attractive to people?
I feel like Halloween is so different than any other holiday. Like you don't get to dress up for Christmas you get like your sweaters and your like your fun stuff, but it's not like you could go out and be a ghost in a sheet walking around just for fun. So I feel like it's so different from the norm for people. I feel like people like to get scared, just like a natural thing. Like at the time, it may be terrifying, but then after that, you laugh it off and it's a good time. So I think it's the adrenaline part of that.
I love that word, the adrenaline.
It's definitely an adrenaline rush. I think there's also a lot of like the vintage Halloween kind of gives you that like warm, cozy feel. So I think it's just all over the place because some people don't like to get scared. So
I am, I've got to say, like on the record, I am one of those people that I get so scared. But then people around me, Halloween is like their absolute favorite holiday.
Yeah. Some people go all out and it's a lot, but it's fun and it's for one night. So.
And speaking of all out, I do want to talk about this because you guys also have a lot of characters, right, that you hire at Busch Gardens. Can you just share that? And because you have people that come back year after year, right?
We do.
To be these characters. Yeah.
Some people love it and they come back. I think we have people that have done it for 7, 8, 9 years. We have a couple of families. There's a mother-daughter team that always comes.
I love that.
There's a dad and his kids that always come. So it just kind of becomes like a family tradition for them. But yeah, people come back and come from all over the place to
be able to participate in Howl-O-Scream. So for people who are watching and listening, for people who might be interested in becoming some of these characters, how soon should they apply for those jobs?
As far as auditioning goes, we start usually a couple months ahead of the event. That gives us time to fill all of our roles and kind of see where the gaps are. But we actually keep our virtual auditions open they're actually open right now. So people could actually still apply if they wanted to come in.
That is so neat to do virtual auditions as well. So you never know where some of these people could be coming from.
Right. Yeah, we'll get tons of videos and we'll go through and see like, oh, they were a good scary ballerina. So we'll put them somewhere we think that fits. So
that's so exciting. And what a great time of year to be in Tampa in October. So buschgardensjobs.com or Howl-O-Scream Tampa.com are great websites,
right?
I'll
give you all your information.
And then as far as tickets to Howl-O-Scream, what is the best way to go about that?
If you go to the Howl-O-ScreamTampa.com website, that'll give you all your information. We do have ticket deals that are often on there. So if you buy earlier in the year, you can get really good deals on tickets. You can also buy them at the gate. We also have a lot of upgrades. So yeah, if you want to do a VIP tour and have like the ultimate Howl-O-Scream experience, that's the way to go for that. We have behind the scenes tours that are really cool. So like like you said, you're not a fan of being scared, you can go do that if you want to see how the haunted houses operate and what they look like with the work lights on. So that's kind of a cool extra little experience you can do.
Well, I mean, I think after this show, I will be a fan of,
good.
Being scared.
You should come out.
So out of all of those things, and I know there's so many, do you have a favorite?
Out of everything at Howl-O-Scream? I think
it's a tough one. I know
that is a tough one,
especially for someone who's all about Halloween and who's wanted to work on Halloween since he was 13, or maybe even younger. As
far as like the things that I've personally worked on, I think Stranglewood Estate, the house, is probably my baby. It is. It has a lot of detail and it's huge and it's beautiful and it's like decrepit way. But as far as the event, I just like walking the event and seeing people reacting to stuff. I think that just as a whole getting that feeling and all that energy from people is probably my favorite thing to do.
Well, gosh, it's been such a pleasure, Brad,
you too.
having you here on Unlocking Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And hey, for the locals and for the tourists, remember, your next adventure awaits. Just head to visitTampaBay.com. On behalf of President and CEO of Visit Tampa Bay, Santiago C. Carrata, I'm Serena Fazan. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.